Every year, the Friday following Thanksgiving transforms from a day of gratitude into one of fervent consumerism. Black Friday, with its promises of unbeatable discounts and limited-time offers, draws millions of shoppers into a frenzy. It's a day when material desires often overshadow spiritual values, and the pursuit of possessions takes center stage. But beneath the surface of Black Friday lies something deeper, a reflection of humanity's spiritual struggles. The Bible, with its timeless wisdom, offers insights into these struggles, particularly through the lens of sin. Black Friday, in its excesses and extremes, serves as a case study in the manifestation of the 7 deadly sins: greed, wrath, envy, pride, gluttony, sloth, and lust. Today we're going to take a deep dive into this question, exploring how Black Friday ties to the sins mentioned in the Bible and what lessons we can learn about our desires, our behavior, and our faith. It will examine how these sins manifest during this annual event and offer guidance for navigating Black Friday in a way that honors faith and values. The origin of Black Friday. Before we dive into the spiritual implications, let's take a moment to understand what Black Friday is and how it came to be. The term originated in the 19th century, initially describing financial crises. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that Black Friday took on its modern meaning, marking the day when retailers moved from financial losses in the red to profits in the black. Initially, Black Friday was practical, a chance for families to prepare for Christmas without overspending. However, over the years, it evolved into a cultural phenomenon characterized by midnight sales, endless lines, and even violent scuffles. Retailers strategically turned it into an event, creating an atmosphere of urgency and competition that capitalizes on human desires. This transformation mirrors a broader cultural shift toward consumerism. In the United States and beyond, Black Friday has become a symbol of excess, where materialism often overshadows the true spirit of the holiday season. The Bible offers timeless warnings about placing material possessions above spiritual values. In Matthew 6:19-21, Jesus teaches, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." The very term Black Friday feels almost symbolic of the spiritual darkness that can sometimes overshadow this day. Black Friday compels us to ask, where is our treasure? Are we investing in eternal values, or are we consumed by the pursuit of fleeting possessions? And this is where the Bible offers us valuable insights. Greed, the driving force behind Black Friday. Greed is perhaps the most visible sin on Black Friday. The desire for more gadgets, more clothes, more deals, drives people to wake up at dawn, stand in long lines, and even push past others to grab the latest sale. Retailers, of course, fuel this desire with tactics like countdown clocks, limited stock warnings, and doorbuster deals. The Bible repeatedly warns against greed. In Luke 12:15, Jesus says, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." Yet on Black Friday, this message is often drowned out by the noise of advertisements and the allure of discounts. Consider the story of the Israelites in Exodus 16. When God provided manna in the wilderness, He instructed the people to take only what they needed for each day. Those who hoarded found their manna spoiled by the next morning, a powerful lesson in trusting God's provision rather than succumbing to greed. On Black Friday, greed often leads to waste. Shoppers buy items they don't need or can't afford, accumulating debt and clutter. The pursuit of material wealth distracts from spiritual growth. As Proverbs 28:22 warns, the stingy are eager to get rich and are unaware that poverty awaits them. Wrath, the chaos of competition. Black Friday has become notorious for chaotic scenes of anger and aggression. News stories of fights breaking out in store aisles or stampedes injuring shoppers paint a vivid picture of wrath in action. Proverbs 29:22 states, "An angry person stirs up conflict, and a hot-tempered person commits many sins." On Black Friday, this warning becomes reality as tempers flare over limited stock items or long checkout lines. One particularly tragic example occurred in 2008, when a Walmart employee was trampled to death by a crowd of shoppers in Long Island, New York. Incidents like this reveal the high cost of unchecked anger and misplaced priorities. The Bible calls us to embody peace and patience, even in stressful situations. James 1:19-20 advises, "Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires." Imagine if Black Friday shoppers approach the day with grace and gentleness, reflecting the fruits of the Spirit, rather than succumbing to wrath. Pride and envy, the twin sins of comparison. Pride and envy are subtle, yet powerful sins that thrive on Black Friday. Pride says, "I deserve the best," while envy whispers, "Why don't I have what they have?" Together, they fuel a culture of comparison that drives excessive spending and dissatisfaction. James 3:16 warns, "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice." On Black Friday, advertisements and social media amplify these feelings, turning shopping into a competition to secure the best deals. Consider the story of Cain and Abel in Genesis 4. Cain's envy of Abel's favor with God led to tragic consequences. This ancient narrative illustrates how unchecked envy and pride can destroy relationships and distance us from God. Philippians 2:3 offers a counterpoint. "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility value others above yourselves." On Black Friday, adopting this mindset could transform the day from one of competition to one of contentment and generosity. Gluttony, more than just overeating. While gluttony is often associated with food, it also applies to overindulgence in material goods. On Black Friday, gluttony manifests in overflowing shopping carts, maxed-out credit cards, and an insatiable desire for more. Ephesians 5:5 ties gluttony to idolatry, stating, "For of this you can be sure. No immoral, impure, or greedy person, such a person is an idolater, has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God." The parable of the rich fool in Luke 12:16-21 serves as a cautionary tale. Despite his abundant harvest, the rich man focused on hoarding wealth for himself rather than using it to glorify God. Similarly, Black Friday encourages a mindset of accumulation rather than stewardship. The antidote to gluttony is contentment. Hebrews 13:5 reminds us, "Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, 'Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you.'" Sloth, the hidden cost of distraction. Sloth may not seem immediately relevant to Black Friday, but it manifests in a different form: spiritual complacency. The hours spent browsing sales or waiting in lines often come at the expense of prayer, worship, or acts of kindness. Proverbs 6:9 asks, "How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep?" While the verse addresses physical laziness, it also speaks to the spiritual laziness that distracts us from our responsibilities to God. On Black Friday, how often do we prioritize shopping over meaningful connections with loved ones or time spent reflecting on God's provision? Sloth, in this context, is not about inactivity, but misplaced focus. Lust, a craving for possessions. Lust, in its broader sense, refers to an intense craving for something we don't have. On Black Friday, this craving often manifests as a desire for material possessions that we believe will bring happiness or fulfillment. 1 John 2:16 warns, "For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, comes not from the Father but from the world." Black Friday advertisements exploit this craving, tempting us to believe that our identity or joy is tied to what we own. Idolatry, when materialism becomes worship. Of all the sins tied to Black Friday, idolatry stands out as the gravest. At its core, idolatry is the act of placing something or someone above God. On Black Friday, the allure of sales and material possessions can easily become the focal point of our attention, leading us to idolize wealth and consumer goods. The Bible explicitly warns against this. In Matthew 6:24, Jesus says, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." Consider the Israelites in Exodus 32, who fashioned a golden calf while Moses was on Mount Sinai receiving the 10 Commandments. Despite witnessing God's miraculous deliverance from Egypt, they turned to an idol out of impatience and a desire for control. Similarly, modern society often places its faith in material wealth, believing it can bring security or happiness. Black Friday highlights this tendency. People camp out overnight for the latest gadgets, sacrifice time with family for deals, and spend beyond their means, all in pursuit of possessions that promise fleeting satisfaction. The antidote to idolatry is a heart centered on God. In Psalm 115, verses 4 through 8, the psalmist contrasts lifeless idols with the living God, reminding us that true fulfillment comes from worshiping our Creator. The social consequences of consumerism. While Black Friday primarily affects individuals, its ripple effects extend to society at large. The culture of consumerism, perpetuated by events like Black Friday, contributes to environmental degradation, economic inequality, and the exploitation of labor. For example, the fast fashion industry thrives on Black Friday sales, offering clothing at rock-bottom prices. However, this comes at a cost. Poorly paid workers, unsustainable production practices, and a throwaway culture that values quantity over quality. Proverbs 31, 8 through 9 calls believers to advocate for justice, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. As Christians, we are called to consider the ethical implications of our purchasing decisions and to prioritize stewardship over convenience. Gratitude, the antidote to consumerism. One of the most significant ways to counter the sins associated with Black Friday is through gratitude. Thanksgiving, the holiday preceding Black Friday, serves as a reminder to count our blessings and express thanks for God's provision. Yet the shift from gratitude to greed happens all too quickly. In 1 Thessalonians 5:18, Paul writes, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Gratitude redirects our focus from what we lack to what we already have, fostering contentment and joy. Consider incorporating moments of gratitude into your Black Friday experience. Before making a purchase, pause to reflect on whether it aligns with your values and needs. Give thanks for the resources you have and the opportunities to bless others. Generosity, reflecting God's character. Generosity is another powerful countermeasure to the temptations of Black Friday. While the day often revolves around acquiring goods for ourselves, it can also be an opportunity to give. Many retailers partner with charitable organizations during the holiday season, offering ways to support meaningful causes. Proverbs 11:25 states, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." By choosing to give rather than accumulate, we reflect God's character and participate in His work of blessing others. The spiritual discipline of simplicity. Simplicity is a spiritual discipline that helps us resist the pull of consumerism. It involves prioritizing what truly matters: faith, relationships, and purpose over the distractions of material wealth. In Matthew 6:33, Jesus urges us to seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. This verse reminds us that when we focus on God's priorities, our needs will be met in ways far more fulfilling than any Black Friday sale could offer. Practicing simplicity might mean setting a budget for holiday spending, choosing experiences over possessions, or intentionally stepping away from the frenzy of Black Friday to spend time in prayer and reflection. Black Friday is a spiritual mirror. Black Friday, with its promises of deals and discounts, offers more than just a glimpse into our shopping habits. It serves as a mirror reflecting the state of our hearts and priorities. The sins it often amplifies: greed, wrath, envy, pride, gluttony, sloth, lust, and idolatry are not new. They have been part of the human experience for centuries, as the Bible so clearly illustrates. Yet Black Friday also presents an opportunity for growth. By approaching this day with gratitude, generosity, and discernment, we can transform it into a moment of reflection and stewardship. Instead of getting caught up in the rush, let's choose gratitude over greed, generosity over gluttony, and peace over chaos. Let's remember that our worth is not measured by what we own, but by the love of God, who gave us the greatest gift of all, Jesus Christ. As you navigate this Black Friday, remember these words from Colossians 3:2. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. In doing so, you'll not only resist the pull of materialism, but also embrace the eternal treasures that truly satisfy. Thank you for joining us today. If this video inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that brings faith into everyday life.